And obviously it just underscores, again, just the importance of the game and how it's just kind of a watershed moment for the program. I know you've talked a lot about trying to keep it in perspective, but just how difficult a job is that right now?
Well, I think it would be more challenging if we just tried to wait and try to just talk about it the night before the game and the day of the game. We've been on this topic with our players since last spring and kind of keeping the message consistent about how great the stadium is, about how great the facilities are, about how honored and humbled we are to be the team that gets to come out of that tunnel for the first time in the new stadium. But yet, what will make it special is the way we play the game. And eliminating the distractions and really minimizing those distractions and focusing on the task at hand. And so that message has been very clear for quite some time. And I've been encouraged just hearing our players talk, quite honestly, that they're reiterating the message. And that means it's getting through, at least in my eyes, that they're using it to motivate one another. They were joking with a couple of the kick returners today, about when they're back there and the hats are waving and the helmets are up and the whole thing of, you're going to be looking at that stuff or are you going to be focused on the ball on the tee? And so, and the response has been great, so they're using it on their own with their own motivation about focusing on what their job is on each snap and doing their job to the best of their abilities.
You going to miss having the opponent in the same tunnel at all?
No. No, I think it's great. There's been so many great memories and moments in that tunnel, and now we have a chance to create new ones. And I think for Husky faithful to know that's our tunnel and it belongs to us, and we're the only ones that are honored enough to use that tunnel, I think is something pretty special.
You guys did a walkthrough, obviously, Saturday and everything, get a good feel for everything. I mean, obviously at this point, everyone's comfortable with the process and what to expect, or is that just something you're not going to know until?
We really try to do our best when we do kind of our mock game to try to create as much of the environment as we can, from our Friday walkthrough to the bus to the hotel, to the meetings at the hotel, to the pregame meal, to the bus over. We even created a dog walk for them. We did all of pregame. We did as much as we could within the game. We faked injuries. We all of the things that you can imagine, we've done. The one thing I couldn't create was 70,000 people. I pumped in crowd noise. I did all those things, but 70,000 people on the edge of their seat fired up, that's the one thing I couldn't create. And so that'll be the one thing that probably will take a little bit of getting used to. And I believe me, I know our guys are going to be fired up. They're going to be excited to play, and fans are going to be all fired up and all that, which is exactly what college football is supposed to be. And that's why we love our fans so much and how great they are. And I just want to make sure we have the ability to kind of quiet our own minds when we're on the field and focus on what we need to focus on.
How different is Boise State's personnel if drastically limited in a small amount than they were in the Vegas Bowl?
Well, I think obviously offensively they have the real strength is those wideouts and that quarterback when they get going throwing the ball. So those guys are very similar because they're all back. That's the same crew back. I think defensively the two safeties are really kind of the stable. That defense, they do such a nice job with Thompson, Ione, and Jeremy of kind of stabilizing the defense. So there's some familiar faces there, and obviously a couple of the guys up front. So there's familiar faces. Again, the schemes that they run aren't going to drastically change that way. That, whether how much up tempo they use or not offensively will depict some of the tempo that they do, but they're still going to run the plays that have been successful for them for the last decade. Defensively, they might have a few new blitzes here or there, but schematically they're not going to drastically change. So it's more about them plugging in a new guy and a new number in their systems. But we have some decent information on their personnel, especially the ones that are returning, and most notably, like I said, I think the wideouts, the quarterback, a couple of the O linemen, a couple of the D linemen, and then the two safeties are the real guys.
What about Lawrence? You didn't see him in the Vegas Bowl, Lawrence.
Yeah,
and
he's a very good player. He's
a lot of people.
He's a very good player. He's a very versatile player, a guy who they move around. You need to know where he is on the field. They move him around, sometimes into the boundary, sometimes he's kind of coming up through the middle, and sometimes to the field. And so you need to know where he is. He plays with a great motor, a guy who gets a lot of his plays off of sheer effort. And so he'll be somebody for us to gauge a little bit from a matchup standpoint and how we can contain him, because he is a factor for sure.
What's a typical Thursday for you guys?
Our practice is really, we refer to it as no repeat Thursday. We try to be perfect. Our big emphasis is on our tempo in which we operate and then our execution and then doing everything right. We really work 4 phases of the special teams game. We work a lot of stuff, special situations on offense, defense. And it's not a physical practice, but a fast one. And we get done relatively early. We go back as a staff to finalize any of the kicking game options, from schemes to personnel. We try to finalize our first 15 plays on offense till we know exactly what we're doing there, and then ultimately get to an idea of how we would like the game to go, and what we would want if we could, script the game, how we would want the game to go, and what we need to do to make that happen.
Are you scripting